As you noted, often there are a lot of people willing to help you coach, and one of the things they wanted was to see David Johnson. What decided you that this was the right time to put him in the lineup?
Well, first, he's our best playmaker. You know, and against Syracuse, I think you have to have a guy that can work inside the zone and do the things that David's capable of. You know, I also think that you know, he's come a long way. You know, on both ends of the floor. I think, you know, it's easy to see the dynamic plays that he makes and the things that happen above the rim and things that he can do that other players can't. But you know, he has a learning curve that, you know, and things that you can't see that he had to get better at. And again, I think, you know, more is made sometimes of who starts and then who finishes or plays the majority of the minutes. And, you know, again, David was coming off of 4 months where he, you know, he had to catch up. So.
You ever been on the receiving end of just like back-to-back crushing losses like UNC has, and how do you respond in a situation like that?
I mean, every loss is crushing. You know, maybe the circumstances like down the stretch where, you know, you feel like, hey, if we just catch an inbounds pass or we get a defensive rebound, you win the game. But I think, you know, you can't be in this profession, coaching, and not suffer some heartbreakers. So, you know, you just got to try to learn from it. You know, when you're in that situation, you got to try to survive it. You know, we had a 6-game losing streak when I was at Xavier. We lost, you know, arguably our best player at the time, who's an NBA player now, and we couldn't win. And you know, our guys were playing well at times and doing what we asked of them, but we just couldn't get over the hump. And then, you know, we finally did, and it was a watershed moment for us. And then we ended up going to an Elite Eight game. We're one game away from a Final Four. So, you know, you just have to keep pressing forward.
What's going on with Aiden's shoulder, and when do you think he'll be back 100%?
He has an impingement. You know, I'm told it's like having a deep thigh bruise in your shoulder. So, you know, it really comes down to, you know, nothing structurally is wrong. Pain tolerance. When the swelling goes down, he'll have more mobility. So it could be a week, could be 2 weeks. I really don't know.
How dangerous? I mean, it sounds strange to talk about a team with Carolina's record as being dangerous, and yet they've been knocking on the door against really good teams. You'd probably prefer to see them break through one of those teams, but how dangerous are they coming into this?
I mean, they're Carolina. You know, I think I know our guys will be up for it. I mean, they've got a program everybody in the country can identify with. They know what Carolina basketball stands for. They're going to run the ball down your throat or attempt to. They're going to post it every chance they get, and they're going to offensive rebound like madmen. And, you know, they've got a unique player in Cole Anthony, who's, you know, one of the best athletes at his position in the entire country. He's explosive. And so, you know, we don't worry about, you know, what they're coming in on or what they're trying to do. We just have to be ready for a team that has a history of excellence.
Coach, Cole Anthony does such a great job of getting to the basket. Like in your defense, your philosophy is to keep the man in front. What's kind of the thought process in terms of guarding Cole Anthony? He does such a great job getting to the basket.
I think against any really good ball handlers and playmakers, you know, like Cole, you just have to make the game as hard as you possibly can on him. You know, to get in the lane. You know, you can't allow him to play downhill. He's a high volume free throw shooter, and he gets to the line an awful lot because he creates contact. He's so quick, that contact a lot of times isn't squared to him, so he gets the benefit of the call, and rightfully so. And he's not one-dimensional where he only plays downhill. He can shoot the ball. So it's a challenge. I just think with any really good player, you have to try to make the game as difficult as you possibly can on them.
Chris, the ACC unanimously endorsed the idea of a one-time transfer this week. I'm guessing the coaches may not be quite as unanimous about it. What your thoughts are? I'm
not a big fan of it, you know, and then, you know, I know scorched scorched earth becomes, towards MAC, like, denying people opportunities. And, well, if coaches wouldn't recruit off other teams, there wouldn't be an issue. But I don't think that's being fair to the issue as well. I think that, dealing with adversity sometimes is a good thing. And, some of the best players I've ever coached, didn't start as freshmen, didn't play a whole lot, just continued to work, get better. And I just worry a lot of kids are going to, find opportunities before they have to deal with becoming better. That's just my personal stance. I don't think there's an easy solution to it. I was a one-time transfer. I sat out, and I thought it was the best thing for me. But again, I can't speak for every transfer.
Coach Cal seems to think it'll benefit the schools at the top, and that there needs to be, I guess, a pretty strict policy on tampering. Do you agree with that?
There definitely has to be a strict policy on tampering. I don't think that's the only reason that kids transfer, though. I think that the narrative is, sometimes that, if you coaches would quit recruiting kids illegally off other teams, then their kids wouldn't transfer. I don't think that's the case either. A lot of kids get homesick. A lot of kids don't, have success first couple months at the college level. And I just hope that doesn't become, the solution is to find, the right place for me. And sometimes it is the right place. You just have to work through some things for the first time on your own, being away from home. I don't know who it'll benefit. I don't think it'll benefit college basketball and fans that want to see continuity and rosters. I think that's going to be tumultuous from year to year for some teams. Again, that's one man's opinion, and I really don't care if people don't like the opinion.
How difficult is it to keep up that high level of play that we saw the other night against Syracuse going forward? What's the magic wand or whatever you?
We got a lot to play for, and we got to figure that out. And we played well. Syracuse presents a unique challenge, the way you have to play on offense, but I loved our spirit, and we've got to be able to recapture that and keep moving forward.
Coach, speaking of a lot to play for, a quick turnaround on Monday, a lot to play for in that Florida State game, especially down the stretch with them being, right there at the top of the conference. How do you plan for a game in such a short turnaround like that, especially with so much on the line?
Same way Florida State does. Florida State game won't mean a whole lot if we don't handle business on Saturday. So I don't talk about it with my team. Really shouldn't talk about it with you guys. I mean, my job is to make sure we're ready to go tomorrow. So, as long as the opponent doesn't have 7 days to prepare, which unless they cancel their game tomorrow, we should be straight.
I don't know if you saw the stat that you guys are the top team in the country in the last 4 minutes of games in terms of opponent points per possession. Do you think that you guys are finishing games that strongly? Is that something that?
But who starts? Who the hell's starting? I really appreciate you pointing that out.
Can you retweet that?
We've talked about finishing all year long, and there's a lot that goes into that at the end. But I do think it's more important, who finishes games, how we close games, and we've had. I've talked about it, a lot of experience on the floor. We've been in moments where, you're down 6 or 7 points with 3 minutes to go. That's not a very comforting feeling, but, a belief that we have in one another and those guys have generated through hard work over the summer, relationships for a long time, and confidence in those moments, I think has helped us, in late game situations.
Do you feel like you're at a point where almost every guy in your rotation, you would feel comfortable with them out there in crucial situations?
I definitely. Everybody that's playing is playing for a reason. Some games it's matchups. Some games you need maybe more defense on the floor at times. Maybe you got to be bigger. Maybe you need more ball handlers on the floor. It really just depends on the situation. And the nice thing is about playing a healthy 9 guys is that we have a lot of options. At any point during the game.
Do you know many of the 2005 cards who are going to be recognized? Padgett was on the team, a couple other guys.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know them crazy well. I was in a different place, but, you know, since I've been here, I've gotten to know a lot of the players. So, you know, whether they're 2005 or, you know, 1980, I've gotten to know a lot of different guys. They've all been, you know, awesome to me. And, yeah, so I know quite a few of them.
The title race, as you pointed out, a lot to play for, going down to the wire between three, and you count Virginia in there as the fourth. Anything about the league this year that has kind of surprised you based on what you thought going in, or things developed?
Well, one of the things I think is surprising is the lack of respect that our league gets, simply because of what happened maybe in the non-conference with a few teams. You know, teams have gotten better as the season's gone on. You look at the all-conference teams from a year ago, I mean, nobody returned. And so it takes time, you know, for teams to really cement who they're going to be, to get better, to improve. You know, even some of the teams at the bottom of the standings have had some amazing wins against some of the better, quote-unquote, better conferences this year. So we know it's a dogfight in this league, you know, whether it's viewed differently from the outside world. But we understand what this league's about.
Anything else for Coach?
Yeah, you mentioned before you believed in David for a while, and he mentioned today that he kind of pulled from that a little bit at times this year when he might have doubted himself or was struggling. Do you recall maybe some of those conversations you had with him about just believing in himself and that belief you had in him?
I just think, you know, that belief that I have in him has not been a one conversation or two conversation type things. I mean, I think that, you know, players can maybe see through that. You can obviously reinforce it in the conversation, but just the way that we have gone about building a relationship, really ever since his, you know, freshman year through the recruitment. And, you know, I think that's where it starts. I mean, he knows, you know, what I think of him, and you know, that's why we've never let the foot off the gas when it came to his recruitment. You know, his teammates, his coaching staff, myself, and when we sat bedside for him at the surgery, you know, I think he's going to be, and he is, a terrific player. And every player, I don't care who they are, you know, struggles at times, you know, with what the college game presents, you know, whether that's on the defensive end, turnovers, you name it. And there's some struggles he's yet to see that's going to happen as he takes more and more ownership of who he is as a player. But he's a great kid. He's very, very talented. And, you know, when you mix the two together, when you have high character off the floor and, you know, you're competitive and talented on the floor, you know, good things tend to usually happen.
He did say he felt bad for not coming to Xavier, but he was smiling.
Yeah, it's worked out, but you know, that's the one time I'll forgive him for telling a little white lie. Thanks.
Thank you.